Welcome to the another video. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Subscribe window to Asia for more videos.
Asia and the Pacific region make up about a third of the world's total land area. Asia, the largest continent, stretches all the way from the Pacific Ocean to Europe and from the Arctic Circle to the equator. Here you'll find some of Earth's most dramatic examples of seismic activity. Volcanoes produce the islands that run from Asia's Pacific coast to the Indian Ocean, while the collision of tectonic plates raised the world's highest mountains, the mighty Himalaya. Europe and Asia occupy the same landmass, but they are considered separate continents. Asia begins at the Ural Mountains and Caspian Sea. The Caucasus Mountains and Black Sea form another boundary. Excluding Russia's Siberia, this vast area of the globe can be divided into 5 major land areas of similar features: Southwest Asia, Central Asia, East Asia, South Asia, and Southeast Asia and the Pacific. Southwest Asia includes the Middle East and its vast deserts. The oldest known civilizations were born between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers in present-day Iraq. But fertile river valleys are the exception, not the rule. In most places, the lack of rainfall makes farming impossible. Buried under the sand, though, are valuable oil reserves that have generated great wealth for the region. Although it is 60% desert, the terrain of Central Asia also includes rugged mountains and seemingly endless, treeless plains called the steppes. This region is too dry to support much plant life except short grasses, so people here graze their livestock on the steppes. Melting snow and ice from the towering peaks of the Tibetan Plateau provide the source of East Asia's most important rivers, the Wang River and the Chang River, Asia's longest waterway. The vast Gobi Desert and the Mongolian Plateau dominate continental East Asia. They stand in striking contrast to the region's highly industrialized island nation of Japan. South Asia includes the Indian Peninsula that extends into the Indian Ocean. The climate here experiences monsoons, or strong seasonal winds. Summer monsoons from the ocean bring heavy rainfall. The mountains of the Tibetan Plateau are the origin of the Indus and the Ganges rivers. South Asia's first civilizations developed in these river valleys, and today they are among the most heavily populated areas on Earth. Southeast Asia and the Pacific share the subtropical habitats around the equator that support lush rainforests. Southeast Asia includes numerous archipelagos, groups of islands that connect Asia to Australia and other Pacific island nations. Australia, a large country that is also a continent, contains a vast desert in the interior. The outback, as it's known, receives very little rain, so most of the population lives on the east coast. The country of New Zealand and the tropical island groups of Polynesia, Melanesia, and Micronesia extend far into the Pacific Ocean. Asia and the Pacific are the most densely populated parts of the world. More than 3/5 of the world's people call these regions home, even though scorching deserts, impassable mountains, and dense forests make much of the land uninhabitable. China and India each have more than 1 billion people. Most people here rely on farming for their livelihoods. South, East, and Southeast Asia all have good farmland thanks to river deposits and warm, wet climates. More than 90% of the world's rice comes from Asia. Wheat is also one of the major crops. A frozen north and a steamy south, unstable volcanoes and endless deserts, areas overcrowded and others uninhabited. In a world of extremes, Asia and the Pacific region cover them all.
The region called East Asia includes China, Mongolia, North Korea, South Korea, and Japan. East Asia is the location of the continent's longest river, the Yangtze, which flows 3,900 miles eastward through southern China to the East China Sea. The region's hot and rainy summers give rise to a great variety of temperate and tropical vegetation. Here, most people live in relatively small, lowland areas near rivers. Population is dense, often exceeding 1,500 persons per square mile. In China, 90% of the population is concentrated in the eastern third of the country. In Japan, most people live in the lowlands, where the large industrialized cities are located. Japan's native religion is Shinto, which has been mixed with Buddhism, a religion also practiced in North Korea, Mongolia, and Vietnam. The religion centers on the worship of ancestors and natural spirits. Kyoto, a historic city west of Tokyo, is home to more than 1,800 Shinto temples and shrines. Gion Matsuri, one of the largest festivals in Japan, began here in 869 when a plague raged throughout the city. To try to stop the plague's destruction, a priest led a procession through Kyoto to appease the Shinto gods. The plague soon ended, and over time the event became a popular festival. During the month of July, musicians play centuries-old songs, and street fairs abound with games and parades. Some of the elaborate parade floats weigh more than 10 tons, and they're often decorated with intricate tapestries from the 15th century. The floats are pulled by festival goers dressed in yukata, lightweight summer kimonos. In Japan, as in the rest of East Asia, people enjoy celebrating the traditions of their history.
The People's Republic of China is located in East Asia and is slightly smaller than the United States. It is bordered by Russia, North Korea, Mongolia, Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Kazakhstan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Nepal, Bhutan, Myanmar, Laos, Vietnam, and the Yellow, East China, and South China Seas. People generally don't think of China as a desert country, but China's deserts are now some of the biggest in the world. Today, China's deserts cover well over 1 million square miles. But it wasn't always this way. China's deserts are getting bigger because of desertification. Desertification is when land loses its ability to support life. The groundwater dries up, the topsoil turns salty, and most of the plant life dies. All that's left is unusable desert. People cutting down trees and overgrazing their livestock are the main causes of desertification in China. Trees and vegetation protect the soil from erosion by wind and rain. At one time, forests covered half of China, but now, trees cover less than a tenth. With fewer trees, more topsoil gets blown or washed away, creating more desert. As the land around China's existing deserts gets turned into new desert, places like the Gobi Desert in the north of the country are expanding. Every year, over 2,000 square miles of China turns to desert. China has the largest population in the world. Its 1.3 billion people need a lot of farmland to grow enough food to feed everyone. But there's now twice as much desert land as farmland in China. The Chinese government started seriously fighting desertification in the 1970s by reclaiming the land. It's a difficult and slow process. Trees have to be planted on thousands of acres of desert. The trees grow into natural barriers that cut down the blasting winds that erode the soil. The government hopes to plant 2.8 thousand miles of trees across the northwest rim of China, forming a Great Green Wall to stop the spread of the Gobi Desert. Some people from small villages and farms are also fighting back against the desert, replanting the areas around the villages, 1 acre at a time. The problem is immense, but today, the people of China are beginning to take charge.
Japan is made up of many small islands. The country has 4 main islands: Hokkaido in the north, Honshu, Shikoku, and Kyushu in the south. All 4 islands separate the Pacific Ocean and the Sea of Japan. Korea is one of Japan's closest neighbors. From about 1200 to 1700, Japan was a feudal society. Feudalism is a system of government in which less powerful people promise loyalty to more powerful ones. Japan's emperor presided over a splendid court at Heian, but the real power lay in the hands of a supreme military commander called a shogun. To expand his control, the shogun gave large parcels of land to lesser warlords called daimyo in return for their agreement to support the shogun with their armies in times of need. The armies were composed of great warriors called samurai. In return for their unswerving loyalty, the daimyo rewarded the samurai with gifts of land. With the aid of the samurai, the daimyo became more powerful than the shogun and were able to control Japan for more than 400 years. Samurai were known for their great skill with the sword. Their swords sliced swiftly and precisely, making the samurai a deadly opponent. The samurai's sword was said to have a personality of its own. Some were good and some bad. But whether it was good or evil, the sword had to be hard enough to hold a sharp edge and flexible enough to absorb blows without breaking. Japanese sword makers were among the first to solve this problem, creating a blade that was both sharp and resilient. And they did it more than 800 years ago. The samurai were known not only for the advanced technology of their swords, they were feared for their ability to use them. Like a chess player, the samurai always thought several moves ahead. A samurai learned many combinations of moves and trained relentlessly until his strokes became second nature and his mind, body, and sword moved as one. Razor-sharp, flexible swords weren't the samurai's only innovation. While Europeans made armor from metal, samurai used a flexible material woven from leather.
Welcome to the another video. Don't forget to press the bell icon. Subscribe window to Asia for more videos.